Welcome to Alligator Preserves, everyone. I'm your host, Laurel McHargue, and today I have another awesome author to introduce to you. His name is Matthew John Meagher.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I got it right. So stick around. Matthew, and let me just let our audience know out there, your last name is spelled Meagher. So a lot of people might call you Meagher, right?
I get Meagher quite often. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, just like with me, McHargue. It looks like McHargue, so I get McCharge,
Oh yeah.
all kinds of things. But it's a silent argue.
It's a good Irish last name.
Tis, yes, it is. So Matthew Meagher,
Yeah.
tell our audience who you are.
My name is Matthew John Meagher. You can call me Matt. I am the author of Irish Town. It is. Oh yes, it is an acclaimed novel. I actually, it's my first debut novel. Um,
With
I
only
was in
about a
elementary.
million awards. With only
It
about a
has
million
won.
awards. Yeah.
It won. It just won another award. It's won like 4 or 5.
Oh, well, there are only three on it. And I'll just tell everybody you were the Killer Nashville Silver
Yeah.
Falcon winner, the NYC Big Book Award, and Colorado Authors League Award winner. What other awards do we have to add on to Irish Town?
I thank you. No, I also just won the Reader Views National Gold Award for their literary awards, which basically means like they send a book out to a random reader in the country, and then that person reads the book and then reviews it, and the top reviews win awards. And I won the gold for young adult fiction.
Can't get any higher than that, can you?
No, it was actually I was up against some of the big five, the big five publishers. So that was actually, I mean, like, so it's a pretty big deal to me because I did this all myself. It's actually my master's thesis. So
That's incredible. I hear a lot about people saying, I worked really, really hard for 10 years to become an overnight success.
yeah. Excuse me. I worked for 3 years to become an overnight success.
Okay.
I am not an overnight success though. But I will tell you this, like, I'm very proud of all the hard work I put into it. And it's hard as a writer sometimes to like always, it's hard as a writer to be like, I'm a really good writer and it's won a bunch of awards. That's just not what writers are like. And so I'm honored. I'm honored that a lot of people like it. To be honest, when I was first writing it, not a lot of people believed in the idea of like, a main character that is an adolescent male and like that really goes to a T of like what it's like to be hormonal and deal with PTSD. I mean, it's just not a hold your hands type of YA,
That's for
you
sure.
know? And so when I was first workshopping it and stuff, not that there were a lot of believers, but they were just like, this is going to be hard to sell. And, I always kept fighting. I kept fighting for it because I believed in it. And the
Well, you
truth is,
should have. Yeah.
and thank you. And so I'm really honored that the people really enjoy reading. That's why I wrote it. That's why writers write. Like, I mean, originally I was like, oh, it'd be really great to be a multi-billionaire. But realistically, I mean, if I were to think about when I was composing it to where I am now, like I couldn't even imagine it. Like
So
I
so
couldn't.
while we're talking about it, give our listeners your elevator pitch for Irish Town.
All right, my elevator pitch is two competing high schools. That it's two competing high schools, one from the have-nots or one from the haves. And I know this pitch. Oh, I haven't just done an elevator pitch in a while. Okay, let me start over.
Start over.
All right. Okay, it's about two competing high schools, the haves and the have-nots, and they fight at the end for an end all be all to see who's the winner of a very important event.
All right. Yes, and it was incredibly important.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Like there's a lot to Irish Town. So I mean, I could talk about like the elevator pitch is so hard.
It
The
is. It
synopsis
is.
is hard too for Irish
And
Town because it touches a lot of things. So
and I just came back from Rocky Mountain Fiction Writers Conference, annual conference,
oh
and gave a couple pitches. And yes, it's amazing. I drove up with my friend LV Ditchkis. She wrote the Sasquatch series, and I gave her
oh
my pitch on the drive up, and she said, "No, no, that's not it. That's not it. Tell me what it's about in your own words." And it took me probably an hour of driving to get what
yeah.
satisfied her, and it was exactly what the agents wanted to hear. So it's very difficult to condense an entire
Yeah.
novel into one or two sentences that convey the whole essence of your book. But you're not just a writer. You just
I'm not.
spent a whole day, I think, teaching. You're still a teacher, yes?
Yes, I was an elementary teacher. I was a fifth grade teacher for 8 years. So I taught 3 years in Vail. I've taught in the inner city. I've taught in England, and I've taught a lot of the demographics of around the Denver area, especially the metro area. So I've definitely seen the haves and the have-nots. So a lot of my first book is based on my experiences from elementary school teaching, or just my my views of what I've seen a little bit about, like, or perceptions of kids that don't have anything or have a lot, and the kids that do. And so that was part of it. But the truth is the main thing I want to talk about is, as a fifth grade teacher, what I was struggling with was I would get kids that could read at a high level, and there wasn't a book that had the content that kept them interested. So what I really did, like, so it would go like Hunger Games or Maze Runner, which was fine. And then it would be like, all right, well, I guess now you could read To Kill a Mockingbird, like, which is fine. I mean, I know it's an educational book, but I wanted my kids to be able to have a book that would engage them, but was approachable. So that's the one thing that I think that was my thesis, was to write for reluctant readers. So I write for any age level, but content for every age level too. Like a lot of my fans, not a lot, some of my fans are over 50. So there are a lot of, oh, no. Yeah, like, thank you. Like, so a lot of people like, wait, 50-year-olds like YA? And I was just like, well, the content of Irish Town, may engage an older adult, is what I was saying. So it's not all young adult. Just because the main character is a teenager and it follows all the tropes of YA, I mean, it's pretty adult fiction,
It
but
is.
it has all the tropes of YA.
It does. So people often ask me, who inspired you to write, Laurel? And I give them my answer. Would you please tell me about Ms. Shoemaker?
Oh my God. Miss Shoemaker.
Your fifth grade teacher?
My fifth grade teacher. Okay. Miss Shoemaker, like, I don't know, man. She saw, wow, you're gonna make me get emotional here. Miss Shoemaker, like, saw potential in me as a writer specifically. I was always a very competitive athlete, and I wasn't the most focused kid, but she saw potential in my ability to use figurative language very easily, and my brain, I don't know, like, at a very young age, like, you don't teach you how to be a writer sometimes. So I was using poetic prose in like fifth grade, just naturally. So she really promoted the fact that I was a good writer. And then she also did the yearbook for fifth grade. And you get to write like, what you'll see me as in the future, quote. And in mine, it says, you'll see me in the future as a baseball player. Excuse me. But if I'm not a baseball player, I'll be a writer. So when I was 10 years old, Ms. Shoemaker saw me as a writer. So
And
I'm getting emotional. I really liked her as a teacher, and I'm a teacher.
I see the big baseball painting behind you. Pretty cool. Matt is okay. He's just I got him a little choked up on that last question about his fifth grade teacher. I mean, I remember my fifth grade teacher. My fifth grade teacher taught me how to lay down in the grass and look up at the sky and the clouds and peer through the blades of grass and see things and write poetry about it. And I loved it. And she inspired me to write. And so I wonder if she knows that you have been a fifth grade teacher. Do you think she knows?
I don't know.
Do you think she's still around?
I don't think so. That's why I'm getting a little verklempt. All right. Oh, I just ruined this whole thing by asking you about Miss Shoemaker. Sorry. The odds of like me being a fifth grade writing teacher is so cool. So I know whatever, if she read the book, but I actually have other fifth grade teachers and other teachers that used to teach me that have read the book too. And they all love it. So I'm like super proud of as teachers, we always reach out. We're like, oh my gosh, the student got a light bulb today. And these teachers who promoted my writing and promoted my literacy and my talent get to see a light bulb. They get to see me succeed with something that they taught me how to do. And that's something that as a teacher, I always am like, wow, it makes me feel really warm inside because I get to give that to teachers that I get to feel every day.
Yes, you get to, give that to your students. Most embarrassing moment as a teacher.
Most embarrassing moment when I found out I was bald.
When you found out, or when you?
I found out I was bald from being recorded as a teacher. And I didn't know I was balding.
What?
So they recorded me writing on a chalkboard and you could see the circle on the back of my head. And I went to the class. I was like, guys, how long has this circle been here? And then they were like, we thought you knew. And I was just like, I didn't know that I'm losing my hair. So that's probably the most embarrassing thing.
That's rather incredible. My most embarrassing was reading the Dick and Jane series to my seventh graders to encourage them to write better sentence structure than was in the Dick and Jane books. And of course, what book do I pull out first? I pull out the Big and Small book. And we're talking about Dick.
Oh my God.
Students were rolling on the floor and I was practically crying because and they wouldn't let me stop. They're like, oh miss, read more.
Yeah. I mean, really, that's pretty funny. I mean, I probably have some unique stories of teaching puberty.
Yes.
Those questions. But I mean, to be honest, that's probably the most embarrassing because I was really young at the time. And now I'm used to being bald, but at the time I was really embarrassed about it. But I mean, it's fine. It's a good story to tell,
Most rewarding moment as a teacher.
Most rewarding moment as a teacher was.
There are probably lots, maybe.
There are. I just
or anything memorable.
Well, recently, my last fifth grade classroom just graduated high school, and I've gotten 4 Facebook, not request, I mean, it's not whatever, but messages saying that they're I haven't not gotten an A on writing since fifth grade because of you.
Wow.
So and I have a few other students who are getting degrees in writing. And it's because I not that I'm a writing teacher, but I was a full classroom teacher. So I taught reading and science and math. But I always dug it up. I was like, you got to be able to write. Like, I mean, it doesn't, like, once you get to college, how do you improve your intelligence? You write. I mean, you do take tests, but there's a lot of writing involved. So I just kept on pushing and driving that idea that you got to be good writers. And then I started modeling for them how I wrote. Because then they're like, well, we want to write like you. And I was like, well, let's start doing it. And then,
Get to work.
yeah. So, yeah, I mean, recently I've had about 4 or 5 students who are like, I mean, we're talking about like 8 years ago, and they're like adults and they're like, thank you for affecting our lives.
Yeah.
So that's probably one of the more proud moments that I've recently experienced. I mean, I hate to say it, but I've won some awards too in teaching, but whatever. So I was proud of those as well.
Amazing. Did you use any of your students in Irish Town?
I did.
Yeah.
Well,
you don't have to name it. You can't name them, I don't think. But
no. I just Mars is based off one of my students.
do they know that Mars is based on them?
No. It's a nickname I gave him. And yeah, I mean, he deserves it. He's a good kid. And then Nevaeh, who's a small character in the beginning, I had a student. And then just a few other ones. I mean, honestly, like, they're all based on, like, that's how I write, is I put real people into a fictional world, pretty close. So a lot of the characters are based off real people, especially in Irish Town, because it's my first book, and you're kind of just like and I'm a right by the seat of my pants type writer.
Pantser, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a pantser, so a lot of my stuff is subconscious. Is my first book, so I was just like, well, I'm just gonna write people I know, and so a lot of the characters are based off people I know, students, a few of them, and then the experiences in school are to a T something I've experienced.
So you say you're a pantser, and this is your debut novel, and it's won multiple awards. How many edits did you have to do? Don't say none. Don't say first draft equals final copy.
Over 10.
Over 10 edits.
Full novel edits, yeah. And it went through 2 mentors. I had 2 mentors, and like through college. And then I had an editor help me as well. And I'm fortunate. Like, my dad's an AP English teacher, so he helped me figure out some things. And then I also have, like, my next door neighbor who used to babysit me is like an IB. You know what International Baccalaureate program in high school is?
Yep.
She was like an IB HL English teacher. So she's my editor too. So wow. I've had a lot of support when it comes to writing. But I mean, it's all me, like a lot of the entire book is me. The one thing I will say though, that I'm very proud of, and it gives an example of how writing is so unique in that you have to observe the world for some things. My mentor, Irish Town, was a book. It was great, but it wasn't as suspenseful as my mentor wanted it to be. And she was like, if you really want reluctant readers to read, you have to get it to be exciting, and they have to turn the page every 10 seconds, basically. They can't put it down. And so I was like, okay, what can I do to this novel that makes me nervous or makes me not want to put something down? And I was playing with my parents I was doing some sort of sand timer game where you watch sand fall.
Right.
And I was like, oh, you know what makes me nervous? Counting down
to the finale. I was going to ask you about that, how that came up.
So I chose to count down in my 7th edit. And I was like, oh, this will be really easy. I'll just put a day at the beginning of each chapter. And then I started how I write. And I started looking at the book, and I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta rewrite the whole novel. Because you have to be on the tee with Thursdays. You got to be on the tee with when they get homework assignments. you got to be on the team with all these things, especially if you're doing. I'm sorry, I can get into it, but like I had to do a lot. And the one other thing is, it's written as a clock. It's 60, and it counts down to 0. So,
Right.
that was, yeah. I don't know where we're going with that, but that's
it was really effective. I'll tell you that. You were told that you needed to have a little more suspense and action in it, and so that you do that with a countdown. You have the ultimate event that you're getting to, in each day something significant happens. There are challenges that the characters have to overcome each time, and they're learning the whole way and growing, and you've got the character arcs. You've got it all in there. You've got the archetypal teenage angst, the angstiness, the hormonalness, the insecurity, the bombasticness, all of that. I mean, you've captured that whole flavor of teenage hormonal students. So rivalries and alliances, right? You've got rivalries, you've got alliances. We see that on TV, on shows, right? You're voted off the island. Here's totally. a big picture question for you about rivalries and alliances. Are they inevitable in society?
I think we're ingrained with them. I think, they are inevitable. I think, so especially with sociodemographics, I think it's just hard it's just hard not to try to do your best and to compete with whoever's around you. You see an opponent, not opponent, but you see another person who's succeeding. You want to either be as successful or better. And so like, that's what you want to be, so I do see it's inevitable for competition. But I witnessed, privilege, or I've witnessed privilege, and I just like, they have different aspects of life that kids without privilege do. But kids without privilege have some benefits of their lives that they don't quite appreciate either, that kids with privilege have or don't have. So while they are different, and while they compete, and they're very uniquely different, I have started to see that there are a lot of similarities in both demographics as well. So while there are clear villains in the book, I make it very clear throughout time, I'm trying to say something where I'm like, these kids are without also. Though the privileged kids are also without something, So while and they're without something that the non-privileged have in this book. So that is one of my messages in the book, is that we're all relatively the same, because we either are without something or we either have something. It shouldn't matter how much money we have.
And you don't beat the reader over the head with that. Which is lovely. The two fictional places, Ashton and Cherry
Ridge,
the Cherry Ridge. Are they loosely based on actual places?
Are they loosely based? Yeah, they are. They're very specifically based off two people. Like, if you know the Denver area, you know what this book's based on.
And if you know the mountains, and where I used to live.
Yes,
they are. We'll just say yes, they are.
Yes, they are. They are based off. Oh God, it was just so. Without saying anything, it was just so easy. It was such a good setting. Such a good setting to have. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do, because I read it, and I do. Speaking of reading it, is there a passage you'd like to read from it to give our listeners a feel for Matthew McHargue's Irish Town? There are only 3 sticker awards on my book that I have. So are you going to have to send me 2 more stickers to put on my book?
Yeah, I will definitely send you 2 more stickers for sure. Oh, if you want them, I can send anything you want. I'll send you a signed copy for sure.
I think I have a signed copy.
Oh, did I sign that one too?
You did.
I'll just keep signing everything for you.
To the luck of the Irish.
To the luck of the Irish.
Yeah. because you knew I was Irish.
All
Was it a year ago?
right.
Was it just a year ago I met you
Yeah,
in Georgetown? I think so. Yeah,
it was that really windy day.
it was. It was a dark and stormy night. All right, what are you going to read
Just
us? Set us up.
okay. So just a little premise. My main character, Jester, who tells the entire story, has fallen for this girl named Christmas Day.
Christmas Day.
And
You had fun with
and
names.
and this is him about, and he loves her, but he also has to get her. He has to convince her to do something that is death defying. So this is the moment that happens before he has to break the bad news that he's been kind of like, yeah, I really like you, but I also am doing this to convince you to do something that we need you to do.
Okay. So
this is called Christmas Snow, chapter 18, and there's 20 days left until the final fight. I've heard love stories, but living a love dream is entirely different. I think about Christy all the time. I've been writing her name on my notebook, and I'm already in the hundreds. We've only been dating a couple of weeks or so. The first few dates were terrifying and a little awkward, but Christy always finds a way to clear the air with some jab or sarcastic insult. It's hard to concentrate. When I'm with her, it's like we're in a snow globe filled with magical glittering snowflakes. And when I'm not around her, all I can think about is the next thing I'm going to do to make her smile. All I can think about is the next thing I'm going to do. Oh, yeah. A rare afternoon sun melts over the west peaks, turning the blue sky to orange, pink, and sherbet. Chrissy's family lives in my neighborhood. Oh, wait. Oh, I skipped a line. Can I read it again? Sorry.
Yes, you may.
When I'm with her, it's like we're in a snow globe filled with magical glittering snowflakes. And when I'm not around her, all I can think about is the next thing I'm going to do to make her smile. But today is the day that I have to shake the globe. A rare afternoon sun melts over the west peaks, turning the blue sky to orange and pink sherbet. Chrissy's family lives in my neighborhood. I walk up to her house, and ice crackles under my shoes at each step. Approaching the porch, I see through a well-lit window a huge man leaning back in a recliner, with July, Christmas's 5-year-old sister, playing with toys on her carpet. Her mom walks in with mugs of beer, hands him one, and sits on the couch with a crossword puzzle. I'm envious. But after getting to know Christy, I can't think of anyone who deserves a normal family more than her. I wait a few more minutes to let them enjoy a few sips and relax. I take a deep breath and reach for the doorbell. Like, yeah, I wrote that.
You did. Okay. So I asked another author this when I was interviewing. Do you ever look back at what you've written and say, oh my gosh, I wrote that. How did I write that?
Yeah.
You
I do
surprise
that a lot
yourself?
with Irish. I do that a lot with Irish Town because, well, I'm a pantser. So I remember this in my pants. I'm like, wow, how did that come out? You know, like I do that all the time. I've been also published with 3 short stories, and that really is my pantser. But I mean, like, I get really surprised in my ability to create characters out of thin air.
Well, they're not out of thin air. They're from your classroom.
They're from my life. But like, I do really well in character building and character development, and that is something that I hold dear, and I'm very impressed with myself as. And for some reason, I don't have to outline a novel.
But after you pantsed it, and then you had to edit it like 10 times, so however many times, and you later added the countdown element to add the suspense.
Right.
So when you added the count, did you kind of had to go from being a pantser to a bit of a planner when you did the countdown, right?
I did. How
hard was that?
You got me there. I did have to plan a little bit. You got me there. But the content was very subconscious. Like, I don't know. I wrote it about 5 years ago. I was just in a different part of my life, and I wrote a lot of the grit in Irish Town was how I was viewing the world back then. And, it's just, that's how it is, but I'm really proud of it. It came out awesome.
If you were
I'm
to
really
write it
happy.
today, if you were to write this today, get the idea of today, how would it be different?
Oh, I'd be too nice, too happy.
Really?
Oh yeah, I mean, I have the second manuscript done.
The second you're doing a follow on to this?
I've already written it. Yeah.
Oh, well, okay. Okay.
So like I have that going to publisher, or I'm pitching for a publisher or an agent right now with the second manuscript. So I'm actually a lot happier. Like I'm happy. The Irish Town there's a lot of like good things in Irish Town, but the grit and stuff, I'll just straight up tell you I wasn't as happy when I wrote it as I am now. So but the writing would be significantly better because I have gotten a lot better. Just like over time by writing and stuff. I feel that my next novel, Sweet Evil, is better written than Irish Town was.
Well, I would hope, as all authors do, that with each successive book, we get better. We learn more craft. We read more great books, and it helps us with our own writing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you'll
Speaking,
like this. So the next one is Jester and Chris. Well, is Jester's kids.
okay.
So it's all about how their high school relationship, how they go against the
So it's
Cherries.
so it's not all going to be sweet and happy because you're much happier now and no more.
No, but I wrote it for like to be more approachable for middle grades. So it's not as like chain smoking cigarettes.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Getting it on in the backseat. Okay.
Yeah.
So speaking of great books, a couple of times in this one, you mentioned The Great Gatsby. It's Jester's
Yes, I
favorite
do.
book. And
Yes.
yeah, so why did you choose that?
I like the format and the structure of the Gatsby. I had a mentor, and my dad's a huge fan of it. And they were like, you can narrate a story that is kind of third person through the eyes of another character, kind of like Nick Carraway talks
Right.
about the Gatsby.
Yeah.
So there is a layer of the Gatsby in there in a high school YA, because what I want, like, so you could consider Irish to be a Gatsby character and Jester to be a Nick Carraway, but like that was all a part of my thesis. My whole idea of I want people that aren't necessarily the best readers to have access to a novel that is close to literary fiction. And I saw a lot of things in The Great Gatsby, and I was like, I could do something similar to this, but for high schoolers, and to make it more engaging. So that's why I referenced The Great Gatsby in there a few times. Yeah, that's the reason why I mentioned The Gatsby.
Alrighty. Is it one of your favorite books?
It is one of my favorite books. It's just I'm not a fan of Daisy.
It's okay. That's okay.
If you can't tell me some of my character in the book, I'm just not a fan of the name Daisy. But it's a great book. It's very well written. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It's just that like I'm a little bit of a modern reader. You know, I like reading books about modern times. I don't necessarily like reading dystopians, but I will. Like I really this just sounds so. I mean, I don't know, it doesn't sound bad, but I love the Hunger Games.
I did too. I absolutely did too.
Series, and people were like, "Oh, that's so cliche," and I'm like, I really enjoyed that series a lot.
I didn't think I would, because I think I saw one of the first films, one of the first videos, and I was thinking, no, I don't think so. And then everyone was talking about it, so kind of like some other books that everyone talks about, I had to read it, and I was hooked on book one.
That's what I'm saying. It was a really well written, and it's first person, so you get all these like little things where she's like in her head thinking about like which boys to trust, who to trust in the match, and all this stuff. And then you watch the video and she like rolls her eyes, and you're like, no. Right. In her head, if you read the book, she's losing it. Like she's in the middle of a match. And so that is one of the things, like I like those kind of books. I mean, like I even really enjoyed the Maze Runner series. I mean, those are like modern dystopians, or, you know, and I just, hey, I'm a part of this generation, so I kind of like that stuff,
No,
So
no,
I'm not
I'm with.
saying I hate on The Great Gatsby. I'm just saying like it'd be cool to read something that's a little bit newer than The Great Gatsby someday.
No, I get you. So you also have your company called Marsman Limited,
I do have my own
and
editing company.
it's an edit. So tell me about that.
I provide individualized professional editing, mostly content editing. I think a lot of people are like, oh, editors just do periods, commas, and this, and this.
No, that's a
No, I do.
proofreader.
Yeah, that's a proofreader. That's line editing. So what I do is I kind of do what I did in college, where I take a section of a novel, like 20, 25 pages. Um, and then I go into them and I go in there and I'm like, this is a good place. This is metaphorical. You're showing a lot of good character traits here. Let's see if we can drive this home. Let's like those kind of like hints. Like your tone right here is negative. You're having them say positive things. So like those
Finding
types of edits.
inconsistencies. Yeah.
Yeah, so you see those kind of content edits where you're like, because I think everyone has a really great story to tell. They've never been taught how to do it.
Mhm.
And I'm like, so I go in there and I dissect, I don't overwhelm my clients. I just go in there and I dissect, and ways that you can think about being a writer. So in the future, when they're writing new pages, they're like, oh, I remember when Matt was talking about this. This is a good time to keep my tone dark. Always have tone involved in your books,
Mhm.
or always have mood, and one of the things I always tell my clients is pacing. Like you have to have flow of senses. You have to have some sort of pacing to your readers. You have to be able to have very sense and structure so it paces, so it reads with fluidity. And that's something that a lot of writers like don't really think about it. I'm like, you have to be writing like you're telling the story to a human being.
Yes. Yeah.
And so that's one of the things I do. So I run a company. Um, Basically, I run the company and
Mhm.
I am the company. And basically, I do individualized content. I provide Zooms. I have certain, but I have a list on my website. I have like 25 pretty strong traits. Um, but I'll do full novels. I'll do like 25 pages if you want. I'll do like I work with you on that. I've done novels, and I'm really good with archetypal stuff.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
And I'm so like if they talk about things, I'm like try not to be so literal is what I'm trying to say, that kind of stuff. So I do that kind of content editing. And then, you know what? I'm also good at line editing and it frustrates me. So I'll also do proofreading too, just to like, because I have little irks.
I can't read anything without correcting along the way as I go.
Oh, that's what I'm
And
saying. I'm like, nah, nah,
yeah,
nah, nah.
as a former language arts teacher, yeah,
Oh, yeah, for
we
sure.
can't help ourselves. What can we say?
Yeah.
So you talked about what's next, your novel, which is done and 10 times edited already. And
Oh, yeah, probably more.
yeah,
It was hard. It was harder than Irish Town to write.
why?
Because I tried to write as a standalone. So like
You don't have to read Irish
half the
Town in order
story
to enjoy.
rehashes Irish Town, and then it's the news story. And so it was really hard having to like blend in uh background to Irish Town, what happened in Irish Town, while also continuing the new plot. So
Mhm.
I had to discover a way using sweets, uh, using their little candies to figure out a way how to use memory flashbacks or PTSD flashbacks to activate like things that happen in Irish Town.
Mhm.
And then Sweet Evil's plot progresses while Jester's son learns about what happened in Irish Town. So it was really hard to like basically write two stories within a novel. But it's really, I mean, it's got a little countdown in it, but it's different. It's
Are
like
you
14
are you
days.
happier? Are you happier with it than you were with Irish Town?
I'm not happy that it's not getting picked up.
Well, again,
But
after this conference, holy mackerel, it's chances. But I would think that you would
no,
have
no, I
tremendous.
actually sorry to be interrupt, but
No.
I think Sweet Eagle's got a shot. I think it's better. My editor thinks it's better. It's just the beginning of Irish Town is really good.
Okay.
The
Yeah, it
very
is.
beginning.
Yeah.
So I've
Well,
tried to work on Sweet Evil. I think the content after you get to page 20 is like really, really strong. But the opening to Irish Town's tough to beat.
yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out a way how I can open Sweet Evil in a similar fashion.
You will. You'll figure it out.
But Jester's so likable.
Yeah. Yeah. He
You
is.
know?
He really is. So, what advice do you have for budding authors who've been writing for 10 years and want to be an overnight success, or those
Yeah.
just starting out?
My advice would be, it always starts with a sentence. That's all writing is. You start with one sentence, then you write two, then you write three, and then eventually you have a page, and then eventually you have 10 pages. And then you have something, you have content. And you don't have to be perfect. Writers aren't perfect.
Do you do NaNoWriMo?
No,
National Novel Writing Month?
I've done it once.
Okay. Do you write every
No, I
day?
don't do nine. No, no, I don't actually. I write like in spurts, where I'll just sit down. I usually write at like 4:30 in the morning, and if I'm working on an adult novel right now, but I write from like 4:30 to 7. So
Whoa.
yeah, yeah. One of my mentors said that your brain is most creative right when it wakes up in the morning, and I love writing in the morning. I love it. Like when the world is quiet and there is no stress and there is no like work day or traffic or anything like that for a couple hours. It's a really peaceful time to write. So I like writing in the morning, but I don't write every day. No, I don't. No, but
I'm a binge writer.
if you don't, you lose. What's that word? When you run, you
The
lose.
flow,
Yeah, you
or
lose strength too. It's
right.
hard.
Your
I didn't
mojo.
write I didn't write for 2 weeks, and it was hard to write a couple pages. But after a while, you're like, just, you know, it's just writing's a peaks and valleys profession. Peaks and valleys. Gotta appreciate the peaks. Gotta love the peaks, and understand that the valleys
Right.
are there
Shout
as
outs.
well.
Do you have shout outs to people you want to recognize?
I want to recognize my father, Michael McHargue. He really supported me throughout writing Irish Town. I dedicated the book to my mother, Sharon McHargue, because she's just been my rock through my whole life, and these characters truly wouldn't be here if it weren't for her. And I want to thank my best friend, Mitch Ludwigson, just for being a supportive best friend. He's a character, or he's got one of my base characters in there. So I just want to say thanks to my best friend for being so supportive as well. Oh yeah,
Right.
and Barbara Best, my other editor.
Who?
What am I thinking? My neighbor. Yeah, she's also great.
Tell me her name again.
Barbara Best.
All righty. Here's a flash round, 3-question flash round. Pudding
Okay.
or Jello?
Pudding.
Beer or whiskey?
Beer.
Summer or winter?
Oh, winter.
You were going to say spring. I think
I
you were going
was
to
gonna
say
say
spring.
spring. I was gonna say spring.
But you're following directions, so you're
Yeah, I am.
reading the instructions.
I was like, I know my objective. I know my standards. I got to be able to accomplish this task.
I think I would have said spring or fall or something, just to be contrary. Where can our listeners find your work and hire you if they are interested?
My website is Matthew J.
Two T's.
2 T's. I've never met a 1 T, but they're teach their own. But Matthew with 2 T's. It's Matthew J. McHargue, MEAGHER.com, and that'll give you all my that gives you links to all my Irishtown stuff. Like if you want, and it's also on Audible. So if you guys listen to books, Irishtown's on Audible as well, and he does a pretty good job. So if you guys like the fact that like you guys like hearing the narrator do all the voices, then yeah, the Audible's very entertaining. But you can also get links to Amazon. It's on Barnes and Noble. And, it just keeps getting better. Hopefully, it keeps winning awards.
Will I see you this year at the Georgetown Christmas Market, the Book Nook at the Georgetown Christmas Market?
Yeah,
maybe.
I mean, sure, why not? If they invite me back.
Yeah. For us 2 weekends in
I got an
December.
email. I got an email from them a couple of weeks ago. I just haven't been able to respond, but I'll respond right after this. I'll see what's up.
All righty, Jerry Fabianic. I'm sure he would love to hear from you. It's
Yeah.
always a fun time there in Georgetown.
Yeah.
What is there anything else you want our listeners to know about you or your work?
No, I mean, no. To be honest, like I've published short stories and I published novels, and I've written novels and I've published one novel, and the truth is, it's a talent, but it's a lot of hard work too. So
It is.
don't go with it. Like, I mean, that's just the reality of it. It's a lot of hard work, and the hard work isn't necessarily writing. It's mental health. I mean, you got to fight for your ideas. You got to fight for your word. You got to believe in it. There is going to be naysayers, and you just got to keep fighting. And, there are people there. Look around. There are people there to help you. And if you need an editor, don't be ashamed. I've used them. They help.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Matt, will you send me some photos? So when I put this all up on my website, I can stick some photos in there of you and your books and whatever you feel like sending me. I will
Yes, that'd be great.
I'll have some
Would
links
you
and photos.
like a link to my new publication?
Well, yes. Is it
Okay.
available for pre-order?
Oh, not a book. It's just a link, like it's an online publication for like a short story I wrote.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
you
you
want to
can
give
get all
that? You want to
those
give that
links.
to everybody?
Yeah. No. I mean, I don't have it with me, but I was just saying, like, if you go to my website, there's a link to it. Sorry, I didn't mean to be mean there. I just
No. But
but
I'll put that on my website when you
yeah,
send it to me.
I'll send you the link, and it's a really interesting piece. It's called Tick,
Okay.
and it's about, I write YA short stories, but it's about a girl saying goodbye to her dying father. That's the premise, but
There's your elevator pitch. All right.
But it's got a very interesting twist. So
okay, short story. I love stories with twists. They're wonderful.
yeah, this one's gonna get you for sure.
I will have links and photos on my website at leadvillelaurel.com eventually after I get this all together. And Matt McHargue, thank you so much for this. I hope you're taking some cough medicine. I apologize to those. He's still with us, everybody listening. I'll edit out your coughing for the audio version, but
I'm so embarrassed by that. But yeah, I mean, that's part of teaching.
it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
It's never perfect.
It's never perfect. Life is
but
never perfect.
I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate it. And
Cool.
Feel free to tell me how great I am anytime you want.
Thank you. You are so great. This book is wonderful. People get it for your, can I say, horny teenage boys and, and your girls and the parents, because it's fascinating. It's different. It's wonderful.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Go take care of yourself, and
I will. Thank you for
see you in a couple months.
Yeah, I will too. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.